Everyone is different. The 2020 Global Education Monitoring Report on Inclusion and Education believes that education is strongest when it embraces diversity. Learners should not have to adapt to the system. Instead, education systems should adapt to their needs. When students do not feel welcome in school, they are less likely to learn. This is everyone's loss. But rich and poor countries too often educate some children apart. Children who have a disability, have been displaced, speak a different language, or are poor and disadvantaged. School design may favor some students over others, as do many laws and policies. Teachers are often ill-equipped to cater for students' diverse needs. Children may not recognize the way they are portrayed in textbooks. Some may not see themselves there at all. They receive the message that they do not belong. Testing sometimes follows a narrow vision of education, and consequently, some students leave education earlier than they should. These are complex problems to solve, but a belief in the right to education is a belief in inclusion. Children have different learning speeds and needs. They need curricula that are flexible, creative, and relevant. How we prepare teachers matters. They must be given the tools and training to achieve our vision for reform. The resources we know can help the marginalized, educators, support staff, and equipment should be shared so that everyone can benefit. Better data on those left behind will help us reach them. Disadvantages often accumulate. We can't address inclusion one group at a time. Redressing these disadvantages requires funds. These must be equitable and target individual-specific needs. We must work together on these tasks across government ministries, from central to local authorities, with civil society supporting governments, and schools opening doors to the community. Inclusion in education requires a change in mindset in society, so that education for all means education for everyone, without exception. Achieving this is everybody's business, including yours.
Every child has the right on education and to have equitable access to it. However, many students with disabilities or who require additional support are being denied this right. Too many are not welcome at their local schools, excluded from regular classes, sent home due to lack of staffing or support, or traumatized by restraint and seclusion. So every February, people across Canada celebrate Inclusive Education Month by reflecting on the many ways we can do more to support every child's learning in our school. Inclusive education is when all students have the opportunity to have an education in the regular school system. Children with and without disabilities at
Real inclusion means education systems are designed to meet the needs of all students. This requires supporting teachers to respond to the individual needs of all students. We demand that every single child is included at school. Children with disabilities and special health care needs have a right to public education. This includes special education services or school accommodations if they qualify. Sometimes, the process of working with school can be confusing. It can be emotional or scary to walk into a room of school professional to ask for what your child needs, or even to speak up with your child's teacher. Inclusive education is a learning environment where children with and without disabilities are taught together as equals. This approach is different or more traditional approaches to the education of children with disabilities, such as the SPED model used in the Philippines, that involve segregating CWDs into separate classes or even separate schools. Inclusive education is recognized by teachers, families, and policymakers to be a more beneficial way of ensuring that children with and without disabilities achieve their full educational potential. Inclusive education of children with disabilities is one of the most important components of its strategy. It is estimated that 65 million school-age children in developing countries have a disability, half of whom are out of school. In the poorest regions in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, not even 10% of the children with a disability ever would set foot in a classroom. In addition, even those children with disabilities that are in school are less likely to stay in school and being promoted. Children with disabilities are also often excluded from mainstream education. The disability of a child is not the biggest barrier to education. The greatest barriers are caused by attitude of the society. Inclusive education offers high-quality formal and informal learning opportunities for every child within a mainstream system that adapts to the needs of all learners. In order for children with disabilities to attain meaningful inclusive education, the Lillian Foundation considers four general principles: acceptability, availability, accessibility, and adaptability.